Everybody talks about emotional eating, about going to the food when emotions become uncomfortable or overwhelming. But I ask, maybe, not maybe, there is another direction. There is also not just what we are feeling that sends us to the food, but what we are eating that sends us to different emotional states and different moods. Hello, everyone. My name is Zippi. I'm a registered nurse and certified food addiction counselor. And welcome to Zippi Live, my weekly vlog, live on Facebook and now live on Instagram. Woohoo! Thank you. Shout out to Sarah Cordner and her academy for helping me with all the techie and how to get live on Instagram. So if you're happy about this, you can send me a like, even if you're watching the recording. And today I wanted to talk about, rather than talking about emotional eating, which is a very important subject and is discussed very much, and I'm happy that that is so. But what is less talked about is how food can affect our mood. We talk so much about how our mood can affect our eating, but we don't talk enough about how what we are eating, how we are eating, when we are eating can affect how we are feeling. I want to explain this with a story of my own. When I was a young mother with 3 small children, and I would scream at them. I would have screaming fits at them. And I was not proud of it at all. I'm not proud of it till today. But I hoped and prayed that the warmth and love that I gave them in between these screaming fits would make up for the damage that I knew I was doing them, and I just couldn't control it. I thought, that's the way I am. That's the way my mother was, and that's it. It's like something that they're going to have to deal with, and me too. And then I went off sugar and flour, and I did that to lose weight. And when I stopped eating sugar and flour, this is close to 25 years ago, a few months went by, and all of a sudden I realized I hadn't screamed at my kids in the longest time, that it had been like months since I had flown off the handle in front of them. And suddenly it really hit home how much sugar changes my mood, how much sugar changes the way I feel. Hi, Leah. Thank you for joining me on my live. It's so good to see you. So if you can relate, maybe give a like or send a comment, because I've heard this over and over again. I have a client now who is thin. Okay. She doesn't need to lose weight at all. As a matter of fact, she could probably gain weight. She came to me because she is severely addicted to sugar. She was eating sugar like there's no tomorrow, and it was harming her health already. But once she got off the sugar, it didn't take very long, 2-3 weeks. And she's already sending me messages how she's feeling so much more balanced and how her emotional state is so much better. The science is showing that this is really so. First of all, it is known that sugar acts in the brain, in the reward center, and activates the dopamine circuitry, just like other addictive substances like alcohol, nicotine, drugs. So, when we see a smoker who is in a stressful situation light up a cigarette, do we call them emotional smokers? Or do we say, that person is addicted to cigarettes? So obviously nicotine changes their state, their being, their emotional state. So when they're under stress or some kind of emotional, uncomfortable emotionally, the thing that they're automatically going to do is look for that substance that changes their mood, that changes the way they feel, that calms them down a little, right? That takes a little bit of that edge off. And it's the exact same thing with sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods. They work in the same places in the brain. Not everybody who, when they're stressed, goes for that chocolate, they're necessarily emotional eaters. It could be that just chocolate really affects how you feel. Chocolate has that characteristic of alleviating pain. Did you guys know? I mean, here in Israel, and the Jewish people usually will use wine for the bris for babies when they have a circumcision. But from what I understand, in hospitals in the US, for example, when they do circumcisions for non-Jewish babies in the hospital, they use what's called sweetie, a very concentrated sugar liquid, because sugar actually causes what a chemical called endorphins, right? It causes our natural painkillers to come out more, to be expressed more. The problem is when it's like constant and it's like you eat a lot, like a whole chocolate bar. So what happens is, yeah, it feels good in the beginning, but then you crash and then it makes you hangry, right? Hungry and angry and irritable. When I got off the sugar and the flour, and I was able to recognize how much these foods influence the way I feel, my mood, well, today, when I'm 25 years down the line, I can tell you that sometimes when I wake up, with the ickies, right? It happens to all of us, right? You wake up and you just feel like crap in the morning. The first thing I ask myself is, did I eat something maybe that triggered that yucky feeling? If I can't find anything, that's when I start going to the emotionals and I say, okay, what's going on? Looking inwards, mindfulness, and all the stuff that I do to make sure that when I am under emotional stress, I use non-food solutions. And that basically is my tip for you. So today's message is that there is a thing such as emotional eating. There are definitely people who have trouble with emotion. Many times it's people who have trauma in their past who use food, right, as a coping mechanism because they have trouble coping with emotions. But there are some people who go to the food when they're under emotional stress the same way a smoker will go and light up that cigarette, because those foods, those sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods change the way we feel. They change our mood. And just like any artificial substance that you're using to change the way you feel, it doesn't really work for the long term. As a matter of fact, it's just the other way around, right? It harms much more than it helps. So my tip for you for today, my suggestion for you is, it's very, very important to develop non-food coping mechanisms, non-food solutions when you're feeling that emotional pressure. Call a friend, journal, go for a walk, pray, meditate, use mindfulness, use support, do what you got to go get a massage, watch a movie, read a book, listen to an inspiring podcast, or watch an inspiring video on YouTube or on the internet, or read your favorite inspiring book. It's very important to develop that, because then what happens is you feel like going to the food, but that really is only a temporary feeling and it goes away if you don't act on it. And if you use non-food solutions, because what happens sometimes, I'll have clients who will say to me, I was under a lot of stress, but I didn't go to the sugary, starchy, hyper-processed foods, didn't go to the SSH, right? I had an apple, or I had a date with some nuts, or I had a bowl of salad. But if you're using a bowl of salad, because of the emotions you're going through, eventually it's going to turn into a cookie or a chocolate or whatever it is, the foods that, you have it that trigger you. So I definitely, it's very, very important to develop skills that are non-food related to help cope with the regular emotions that regular people go through as a part of life. And it's especially important now because with this pandemic and people being at home a lot, kids, and quarantines and problems with school, and it make all the stress with jobs because nobody, people are sick a lot, and am I going to get sick and what have you. It's now more important than ever because the exact foods that we tend to go to help alleviate our moods, right, to help to change our moods, those are exactly the foods that cause inflammation. And those are the foods that can cause that can raise the risk of complications from viral diseases. So we want to go to healthy mechanisms for coping with emotions. This is my message to you. If you have some great ideas how to cope with stress that is non-food related, you can share them in the comments below, please. And if you like this video, if you think it's important, you know of a friend or a loved one that maybe needs to hear this message, please like it and share it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching it there. And in my link tree, this is on Instagram as well. So in my link tree, there is a link that you can sign up to my newsletter. It's in the description in the Facebook and YouTube videos where you can sign up to my newsletter, and then you will get the recording of the weekly live every single week to your inbox. So Bariatric Dreams, I don't know what your name is, but please let me know. Thank you for commenting. I'm a podcast junkie. Helps me keep my head in the game. Absolutely. I can tell you sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night with like anxiety, then those thoughts running through your head, I'll like look up, how to calm anxious thoughts running through your head in the middle of the night. And boom, up comes this really, and I read, you listen to podcasts, I read, boom, up comes this like really great article on 12 things you can do to alleviate anxiety. I use that a lot and it's really, really effective. So I hear you, girl. Okay, guys. So that's my live for today. Have a wonderful day and a great evening. And I will see you next week and Tuesday at 4:30 for the weekly Zippi Live. Bye-bye.